Hello ladies and gents and everybody in between. I know that this video is a little bit late, but enough of you have asked about it, so I decided to make a video on it. It would appear that Michishige Sayumi is going to leave Morning Musume. And all I can say is, it's about time. I'm a little sad that Sayumi is leaving because, as people have pointed out, she is really the only thing at this point that is connecting the current girls with all of the history that built Morning Musume. But this is just for me. I really feel like I only cared about all that history in the previous era when it was the Platinum era, and I feel like that generation really encapsulated Morning Musume at its prime. Even if they weren't marketed well and didn't do very well sales-wise, I feel like they were the strongest unit that Tsunku ever had. And so I think once Rival Survival was over, Morning Musume as a concept kind of ended for me. And I mean by that is that that was the era that I think ended the reign of Morning Musume, and everything beyond that kind of signified this brand new era that wasn't necessarily Morning Musume. And I think Tsunku really took on that idea when he changed the name to Morning Musume 1-4, thereby changing the group in its entirety into this brand new concept and unit. And I think it's time for the current girls to have their wings and soar without the previous generations and eras kind of looming over them. And I think it's been kind of made apparent that Tsunku is leaving that side of Morning Musume where it is and kind of letting it rest, because he created the updated album where it's like, well, here's what the past was, but here's where we're taking it, and here's where it's at now. And I feel like Tsunku has kind of moved on from the Morning Musume that he created and is allowing it to become something else, something that he can market better, and something that doesn't necessarily take on that name and that legacy. It can kind of become its own thing, like a splinter unit. Even though it has its original name, it's almost like it's something else. And I feel like with Sayumi still in the group, it almost feels like she's just kind of delaying the inevitable of that generation, that era being finalized and completed. And while it makes me sad that she's leaving, because she's really the most interesting member to me at this point, I feel like it's time that she moves on with her career and lets the Morning Musume of the past, that shining bright Morning Musume, kind of rest and be done, and let this new Morning Musume take off and see where it goes. To be completely honest though, I speculated that this was going to happen quite a while ago. I was anticipating this graduation announcement when Reina announced her graduation. I knew that Sayumi wouldn't be too far off, and then when these two new singles came out, with the symbolism that was behind both music videos, with, you know, 123 being Sayumi's first leader single, and then Password is 0, you know, 0123, and then with Tokyo Koe having all those bubble effects, and then looking back into Sayumi's first single as a member being Shabondama, which was all about bubbles, I think that it was really cool and a nice way to tie it in. And so I think once I saw those music videos, something really just clicked in my head like, wow, I think this is the end, because Tsunku kind of does this thing where he'll do a throwback to something that involves the member, something that's important to them, and kind of lets that be like their end. It didn't really at all come as a shock to me, is basically what I'm saying. But I'm happy for her. I'm glad that she's moving on, and I'm glad that she's gonna do something else with her career. I'm not sure what that may be and what the future is gonna look like for her, but nonetheless, I'm still happy for her that she's moving on. And then as my final kind of feeling about it all, even though I like Sayumi, I liked Reina, and I kind of, you know, I like the rest of the other girls that are in the group now, I think Morning Musume really stopped for me once Gaki left, because she was my favorite, she was the best in my opinion. And I think everything after that, it just became like, well, it doesn't matter who goes and who stays, I'm not really overly attached to anyone. So whenever they leave, good for them. If they stay, good for them. That being said though, if the group was comprised of more dynamic members, I feel like I would be a lot more invested in the group as a whole. I think really the only dynamic members at this point are Canon and Canon. I feel like the other members don't really have that spark that the original girls had. And so from here on, I'm gonna keep supporting Morning Musume. I'm not gonna leave them. I'm not planning on being one of those fans like, well, Sayumi's not in it, so I'm not gonna listen to the music anymore. That's not me. Long-winding rabbit trail all the way here to say that it's good for her, good for the group, and we'll see how the group evolves and moves forward from this point. I'm very confident that they'll do well. It's all in the marketing, and if Sunku wants them to succeed, he'll let them succeed, and if he doesn't want them to succeed, he'll pull back on funding and won't market them, and they'll fail, and he can move on with his life to something else. He clearly is more invested in Juice right now than any other Hello Project group, so I feel like all the other ones are going to kind of pander off to the side, and I feel like Juice is really going to get the push. I know that's horrible to say, but I really feel like he's just done with berries. I feel like he's done with Cute. I feel like he's super done with Morning Musume. And I feel like Smilage is like, it's there, but he just doesn't really put a lot of effort into anyone except for Juice these days. So we'll see how Hello Project evolves and changes after Morning Musume loses Sayumi and what ends up happening. I mean, I feel like they're gonna do well just for the nature of who they are and what Sunku's been doing lately. But then at the same time, I feel like he's just gonna kind of give up, like, well, this is all I really cared about and I'm kind of done with it now, so let's move on and do something else. If that makes sense. I know that's morbid, but that's just the feeling that I get. And over the last, like, year of seeing the singles from all the other groups and then seeing how Juice is doing, it's kind of evident who he cares about more than anyone else. Again, rabbit trailing. That's pretty much all that I have to say. Let me know what your thoughts are about Sayumi leaving the group. Are you going to keep supporting the group once she's gone, or are you going to abandon ship? And thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys all again next time. Bye!